Hello, hello, everybody. Yay! We're here. Finally got Zoom to work and the right links and the right meeting room.
It's
Yay!
all
Oh,
good.
Miss Stephanie, how are you?
I'm wonderful. And you?
I am doing really well. It is gorgeous out here in the Carolinas. So sunny, so beautiful. What about you?
It's it's partly cloudy, but it's a nice day. It's in the 60s today, which is nice for now. And it's
Cool.
not raining. It was a deluge yesterday, so it's nice to see some sun peeking out. And I had a lovely lunch with some old coworkers of mine, so that was nice. Little catch up,
Oh,
little social time.
yay. I love being able to do that. Like we can just catch up with people and not be stuck inside. We can go outside when we want to, and so fun to have an online business to be able to
It
do
really
it.
is. It really is. Gives you a lot of freedom to be the
All right.
boss.
I know, right? All right, everybody, if you're here live joining us, please pop in the chat for me, #live. If you're watching the replay, #replay. And I promise that we will circle back around to any questions. So if you are watching the replay, please still kind of comment that you are here and any questions that you might have so that we can see you. All right, we are here with Stephanie, and Stephanie is one of my amazing clients inside of Activate Abundance, and I really asked her to come on and share a couple things. Number one, I just wanted to have you see that you can create an amazing income building a health coaching business and doing it with heart and soul and not going crazy. And she's got an amazing method that I wanted her to share with you, her boss method. So we're going to kind of dive into two things. One is kind of, allowing you to see, because it's one thing when I say you can do it, right? But it's another thing when you hear that other people are actually building and growing their businesses and doing it well. Yeah, so thank you for being here, Stephanie.
Oh, I'm super happy to be here. And I love that, what you're doing and why I'm seeing you um is for my business and so that I can help other women and reach their highest health. But it
Mhm.
it really works back and forth because, you're helping us be the best boss of an abundant business. And that can only happen if we're truly taking ownership of how we treat our own bodies and
Mhm.
how we be the boss of our own bodies, how we're making good decisions for our bodies, but decisions that give us, energy and fuel us for this really great impact that we want to have in the world, right?
Yeah,
And
totally.
yeah, and so you need and where I work is not just decisions based on nutrition, although that's a fundamental foundation that I work on, but we have a lot of great overlap in how we have to pay attention to the time we spend away, our downtime, prioritize making sure that we have spaciousness in our life, that we have that we have the margins
Mhm.
built in so that we don't get into that high stress mode, right? So there's a whole bunch of
Yeah.
aspects to whole health, and we need to do it ourselves. So everybody in your program, we're all working toward helping people reach a higher state of health somewhere. We're all different things, whether it's a spiritual energy or exercise or various healing modalities. We're all trying to help people get better
Mhm.
and live their best healthy life. But we have to start with ourselves. And we all have aspects of that we're really good at and other things that we may need help with,
Mhm.
right? So and that's where, my personal method comes in, really is about how to create sustainable lifestyle change that is targeted for you in your unique biopsychosocial circumstance, where you are in all of the areas of your life and what your goals are, but to do it in a way that's easy and that
Mhm.
just fits and resonates with who you are, which again is very much like how you're encouraging us to run our business, right?
Yeah, yeah. I know. I love the overlaps. I love that we get to do it's like a both and, right? I talk about building a six-figure business without trading your well-being or your integrity, right? And so, well-being has to be part of our business plan. And that's why I love be the boss of your abundant business. I may steal that. That might be like, you guys might see that in a master class somewhere, who knows? But yes, I mean, and really when we are a boss, right? When we are the CEO, when we put our boss hat on of our abundant business, it means that we don't put ourselves on the back burner. And I love that you are supporting women to, double down, triple down into our own health and wellness, because we can't really coach ourselves on that. We might know what to do. We might have gone through some trainings and gone through, our own, coaching as a health coach or culinary nutritionist or, whatever, modality we've done. But it's always helpful to have somebody on the outside speaking more into it, because we can't read the label when we're on the inside of the bottle. So I
Absolutely.
still look for, other experts in the field, even though I have a background as a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and a health coach and a life coach, and I help other women make money, but I work with other people to help me in all of those other modalities as well. So thank you for being here and sharing this. It's so good.
Absolutely. And and I want to thank you because I had a signature method, right, coming into our work together. And and it works. So for anybody who doesn't know me, which may be many of you, right? I am originally trained in psychobiology, biochemistry, with my graduate degree in neuroscience. And so I have a very strong scientific background. And it also is nice. It helps me wade through a lot of the studies and all of the information, Dr. Google overload that's out there. But it also, because of my neuroscience background and the fact that I came out of a neuroplasticity learning and memory lab, my method is really based on using that superpower of our brains, that thing that keeps us alive and that can also get us into a bad habit. Your brain doesn't care if it's a good thing or bad thing. It's just gonna do what it thinks you want it to do. It's gonna do the thing that, but it's also always going to conserve energy. So it's going to go that path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And so my method is called the BOSS mode. It's a framework for behavioral change. It stands for Behavior Optimizing Science System. And really what it is about is using this ability of your brain to change and create new neural pathways. Like Robert Frost's poem, I took the road less traveled, but the thing is once you start doing that, you're actually creating a path. If you go hiking in the woods every day, great story. So my next door neighbor, when I was a kid, we had woods in between us. She was on acres of land. I was on acres of land. And in order to walk to her house, I'd have to walk past the fence line, and it would take me a mile to get to where I could see. So I started going through the woods. And at first it was really scary because there are big banana spiders. This is in Florida. There's webs that are 6 feet across, and you're going through and you're trying to clear. But it got to the point where that was a good 6-7 feet wide. I could walk through there in pitch black, which I often did because I'd go to her house to go to school in the morning. And I got to, I could just walk through without having to see anything because I wore that path so frequently that it was so easy to do, automatic, almost with my eyes closed. And that is our habits, right? The things that we tend to do. And sometimes we do them without thinking about it, because especially if we're in a space where, oh, I'm suddenly hungry and I haven't planned anything, our brain is going to give us the thing that we've always done.
Yeah.
Because it needs to. We don't have the capacity at that point to make a decision. We're all discombobulated and we're hungry and whatever, right? That's just one example. But the point is that over the course of 2 weeks, you can actually change some of your neuronal wiring in your brain. And it only takes 2 weeks. And just enough for it to start to be established. And you can sort of see, like, is it working for you? Is it not? It gives your body time to adjust to whatever it is, whether it's exercise or food or stress or what have you. Your body is responding, your brain is responding, and you can decide to keep going with it or to slightly pivot. It's a really sweet spot. And then you can add another habit on top of that and a habit on top of that. And you're actually creating this whole new thing. But at the same time, that old habit, it's like the path you stop taking, and all of the weeds and everything that starts growing in, it starts to become harder to go that way.
Mm,
So you're literally
yeah.
changing your brain. And there's a period of time where, it could go either way, but that's when I'm working with someone, we keep going. By the
Mhm.
time we're done, they're like, I can't believe this was so easy. Like I literally just made these tiny changes that were easy to incorporate. You kept me accountable so that I could get past that trail formation, right? Those new neuronal connections. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden, the things that I used to, think I liked, I actually really don't even. And I just
Mhm.
know much more about what they're doing. But I actually
Mhm.
really like this thing over here. I always thought this was going to be hard, but it doesn't have to be. And so that's where becoming the boss of your health, understanding all that stuff, learning how to make great decisions as the CEO of your body and your business.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I love that because it is true. I mean, first of all, you've got the science background of actually what is going on in the brain. So this isn't just like, you know, meditate your way to a better body or meditate your way to, an amazing new manifestation. It really is using the science of your brain so that you can create these new neural pathways so that it does feel easy, right? And that's the thing with habits, right? When we're in a habit, when we've created a habit, it is only a habit because the brain has put it on automatic.
Hmm.
Right. And so
Yeah.
it's not a habit if it's not automatic. And so we really are creating new habits, which means that when we're doing a habit, it's on automatic, which means it is easier to do.
Yeah.
And I love that we're also taking a look at, these small manageable steps. So it's not like doing an entire overhaul and trying to change everything at once. It's impossible to make all of those things automatic if we're doing too much, right? So we get to
Yeah,
break
you
that down.
can't. Yeah, it actually, they're on so many levels, right? So biologically, to change all of that at once actually sends off signals in your brain that something is actually wrong. And so many things are changing in your body that if one of those things you're doing isn't really sitting well with you, you have no idea which thing it is that you changed wasn't the thing that was working. And so this is why those off the shelf diets don't work, right? There's always something about it that's not going to work either with your lifestyle or with a particular food you might have a problem with or anything. It's like all or nothing. So as a scientist, right, I'm looking at, wow, that's too many confounding variables. I have no idea what the thing is that worked and didn't work, right? Not only that, my body is trying to adjust to too many things at once. And we're super resilient and adaptive physiologically, but um, if we understand how the body changes, when you make small changes in, say, the foods you're eating, it'll take 7 to 10 days for your gut to sort of readjust to that new thing,
Mm,
right? It
mhm,
takes time for your brain to start adjusting. It takes time for all of the various set points in your hypothalamus. That's like kind of where all of the different regulators in your body reside is in your brain. So your temperature control, like the thermostat in your house, is in your brain, but so is your metabolic levels. Everything is
mm.
there. There's a set point for your pH. There's a set point for your temperature. There's a set point for there's everything is there, and it all will change. But you want to do it slowly. You want it to be a natural adaptation. It's like, your doctor gives you a medication. He doesn't give you the full dose on day one, right? For a lot of things, you'll work your way up. Oh, and then you don't stop right away. You work your way down because
Mm.
otherwise it's like a shock to your system. And so we are just the best way to make changes isn't lose 30 pounds in 30 days by changing these 30 things.
Oh my God,
Okay.
I love that. Yay. Oh my gosh, right. We hear that all the time.
Yeah. So it took a while to get where you are. Let's be good scientists of our body. Let's be good chief scientific officers. Let's be good
Mm,
chief operational officers. Let's make sure that our bodies are getting all of the high quality materials that they need. Just like if I'm building a skyscraper, I do not want to go in one that's been built out of styrofoam,
yeah, totally.
right?
Or in
So
one day.
or
Or
in
in one
one
day.
day, right? So you want to be deliberate. You want to be the CEO. You want to make good decisions. You want to educate yourself about those decisions, right? That's where your coaches come in. I don't know a single CEO that doesn't have a board, that
Mhm.
doesn't have experts around them helping them make good decisions about
Yep.
all the different things they're doing, right? I mean, if you've ever gone to a travel agent, you already know this. You've done it. So
Mhm.
this is what we are in everybody's lives too, right? So, but it's even more important. The travel agent is helping you with a vacation that's going to be a memory, but it's a finite thing. Your
Mhm.
health and your business are a lifetime.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. We're
right?
leaving a legacy, right? On both
Yeah,
sides. And when you take good care of your body and you're the boss of your body and you learn how to implement these habits, consistently, right? That's a big thing in both, whether we're taking care of our health or we're taking care of our business. This consistency piece is so important. Will you share a little bit about that? Because I know that this is something that people can kind of relate to both business and their health and wellness.
absolutely. So yeah, studies have shown, so even 10 to 40% consistency is going to get you results,
Mm,
right? Once you hit that 50 to 70% threshold, they're even better. 80 to 90, more than 90% consistency. That's when people get the most benefit from anything that they're doing, whether it be a dietary change or anything. But the thing is even if you're starting out at the 10 to 40% consistency, you are going to be further ahead than where you are if it's completely random, no matter what, whether it's physiological, your health and wellness, or your business. Um, but your goal is, and the rule of thumb that I use, and this is actually, I use this for myself in working with you,
mhm.
is whatever I'm adding in, whatever habit that I'm trying to make, whatever action I am trying to do daily, whatever new thing I'm incorporating into my business or into my physiological health, I ask myself, is this small enough that I feel that I can do it at least 90% of the time consistently,
Mm, mm,
right? Because I can try to do a big thing and I might get only about 10 or 20%. And I'm going to have some, you know, positivity from it, but it's also going to be a lot harder for me. So the long-term likelihood of it becoming a habit and sticking and becoming more and more consistent is kind of low. I might have some
yeah,
benefit out of it, but it's going to be kind of limited as a ceiling, right?
yeah.
So whenever you're adding a new thing, so I've done you've got so much in your program and I absolutely love it. And I have been very deliberate when I'm going through going, let me try this and I'm going to put this piece of it together. I'm going to get good at this small piece of golden hour, right?
Mhm,
If you guys
mhm.
want to know what that is, you get into this, you get into Chris's world, okay? But, but there's a number of different pieces of it. So I have broken it down and I'm just practicing aspects of it until I feel really good and comfortable with it so that that part's automatic so that when I add the next piece of it, it's not hard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's
And
like
and
habit
that allows
stacking
me to
too.
be, it is habit stacking, right? But that
Yeah,
allows me to be consistent and to grow
yeah.
and to have this sort of snowball effect that my business is growing. And think about a snowball, it doesn't just, it grows exponentially as
Mhm,
it's rolling, right?
mhm,
So I could be this slow and steady and be, this line, or I can do this, right?
mhm.
And whether it's your health and wellness or your business, when you do that sort of habit stacking, when you do these small pieces and you get really good at them, it's okay that it takes a while. I mean, that's one of the things I love about your particular program, Activate Abundance, is that it is a year. I
Mhm.
don't have to try to learn everything and squeeze it into a small period of time and try to become really good at it all at once. It,
Yeah.
you know, um, and so I feel comfortable and I don't feel panicky about, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. It's just
Mm,
very clear what to work on next, what to get good at, and then breaking it down in the middle and in between. And and I'm doing that in my business, right? So I'm on
yeah.
I'm doing my nurture events, right? I'm building my programs. I'm
Mhm.
communicating about it. I've implemented an email list. Did I do everything on day one in my business that I'm doing
It's
today?
impossible.
Right.
You
So
can't.
it's impossible to go on a crash diet or,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, the first time I ever tried to get my health and wellness in order. And let me tell you guys, I was 60 pounds heavier than I am today and pre-diabetic. I had high blood pressure. My legs were swollen all the time. I had aches and pains. I had something wrong with my jaw. I had problems with my back. It was horrible. Okay. So I mean, lots of health problems. And the first way I tried to fix this was what everybody tells you to do, right? So I did this program and I'm not bashing a particular program. It's just the one that I happened to do. And it was called the 21-day fix. And it had all six, like basically 7 days of movement, six high impact movement days, and a very limited caloric restriction with you measured everything in these little containers. I lost some weight with that, but boy, did I yo-yo back I
Yeah.
absolutely did, because I was miserable. I wanted to kill people. I swear to God, I was so hangry.
Yeah.
And I was exhausted, and I was physically exhausted because now I'm running my body to do all of this exercise, but I'm not fueling it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't getting enough fuel. I was doing what the thing told me to do, and I everything in my body rebelled against it.
Mhm.
Those types of things don't work. I was trying to get all of it in 21 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I tried to do it twice in a row because what, glutton for punishment or something.
Well, if I'm going to get some results, and if I do it again, I should get more results. It makes so much sense.
Yeah. And more miserable.
And more.
So like, yeah. And so, hey, I hit 40 years old. I was down 40 pounds. I was still heavier than I am now. Like, as far as my healthy weight, I wasn't quite all the way into my healthy space. I
Mhm.
was close, but I ended up yo-yoing a few times, right? And then I got to the point where it's like, wait a second, I'm a scientist like me.
Mhm.
I Why don't I just apply all the things I know? This is the hard thing. This is why we need people to read our
Yeah.
labels from
Yeah.
outside the
Yeah.
bottle,
Yeah.
to be like, oh, wait a second, And so
Mhm.
because I was trying to read the label inside of the bottle and learn how to read everything backwards, it took me longer than it would take people who work with me and who work
Yeah.
with you, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's possible. We're good. We can do this, but it's painful and it takes a
Mhm.
lot longer to get it right if
Yeah.
you don't have someone. But
Yeah.
yes,
Totally.
consistency, small baby steps, changing the brain. And again, whether those habits are time management, stress, and, learning how to use products in your life that
Mhm.
aren't toxic for you, or the foods that you eat, getting the nutrients, all of that stuff, or building your business
Mhm.
and getting consistent with your posting and communicating and reaching out to people and building relationships. Those are habits too.
Yeah.
And when you're starting them, they're hard, and your brain likes to conserve energy. And so that's why you can't do them all at once.
Mhm.
Your brain will have the same reaction to those behaviors as it does to making the changes in your health and wellness.
Yeah.
You have to do it
Absolutely.
small.
Yeah, small. And I was we were just on the cash flow accelerator today. Today was Monday, and we were talking about, reaching, how we all have, a certain number of people, and we were talking about reaching out to 100 people, right? And when we think about reaching out to 100 people, that sounds like I could never reach out to 100 people. That's like, forget it. And yet when we thought, okay, but what if I reached out to 3 people? 3 people a day, Monday through Friday. That's it, just 3. Over a month, you would have reached out to 99 people. Now that's doable. But when we have it in such a big, like, I've got to do all of these things, and, 100 people, okay, I'm going to do 25 today, and then I'm not going to do any tomorrow, and then I'm going to do another 10. And then, like, it's all over the place. Your energy is all over the place. And then you don't feel like you're following through. And then you feel like you're failing. And oh my gosh, all of it. Right. And I know that you
Mhm.
see this with your clients. So what are some simple things that, you start with, or some stories that you can share with us about clients that you've worked with when you've taken these big, giant, things that they wanted to accomplish, and you've been able to break them down into some simpler things? What are some examples of that?
Yeah. So obviously part of, my work is that, everybody's unique. We're starting
Yep.
from a unique place and unique issues and unique, some people don't know what that room in the house is that has the thing that gets hot, and what is that? So you've got that, and, or maybe somebody works in out of their car all day, and they're
Yeah.
going to clients, and they're literally living in their car most of the day. Or, so people are starting in different places. But the thing that we work on first with everybody, unless they're already doing it, but it's very, very rare that I see that, um, is basically step one is stop doing damage to
Mm.
your body, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not going to say, okay, you're going to have to eat all these foods you hate. And that's not even how it works, right? So, but the first thing we have to do is start looking at what you might be eating that is directly causing damage to your body, or maybe
Mhm.
there's other stuff but you're doing damage to your body and you're creating chronic inflammation. And a lot of times, and study after study after study after study after study has shown this, that ultra processed foods do that. And now ultra processed foods, you can look it up. It's Nova 4, level 4 foods. These are foods that don't look anything like what they were. Basically, they all have to be created in a food lab. I mean, that they're taking ingredients like, maybe take a piece of wheat is originally like the bran and the germ and the endosperm, and they take it all apart, separate it all out, and then put it together in different ratios and add a whole bunch of stuff in it to make it shelf stable. It will literally be fine 20 years from now.
Twinkies.
Twinkies, whatever, certain brands of hamburger.
Oh my God, really? Hamburger?
Yeah, yes. And
No.
so, those aren't food, and they actually do a lot of damage in your body. And so what we do is we take a look at, well, like, where is this in your life?
Mhm.
And we look at it, but we don't say, okay, start getting rid of everything. First of all, we start just crowding it out and
Yeah.
replacing it with better options. And we do this just a little bit at a time. And honestly, making those small changes, if somebody was just telling me the other day, after 3 days of this one small change, just having started working with me 1 week ago, has already seen reduced puffiness in their face.
Wow.
Just
Wow.
doing one thing, one very, very, very small thing, something that they were like, oh, I can do that. Oh gosh, yes, I can do that. And when we talk about that small change, no matter how small and how easy it sounds, we still get a bit pessimistic, right? We get a little cynical. We don't want to be perfectly optimistic that this thing is going to be something that nothing can get in the way of. We say, okay, so what could get in the way of this? What do you have to do to set yourself up for success? These are individual single actions. It's not like something you have to do every day, but you're going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And that's going to be part of it. And that's going to set you up for success. And if you have issues, we talk about it and we say, okay, so what did happen? Do we need to make this smaller? Do we need to change it a little bit to make it fit better into your lifestyle? What do we need to do? Because hello, we're scientists. We're that chief scientific officer of our body.
Yeah.
And so we get to look at everything, and it's not failure, right? It's only data. It tells us something. We have learned a thing that we can move forward with. And every single one of my clients ends up coming out of this with more energy and improved gut and gastrointestinal, even ones that they didn't know. Somebody came in, didn't even tell me really about the psoriasis they had, was gone, right?
Wow.
Because
Wow.
because it wasn't that thing that she thought this had anything to do with, right? But it's all related. And
Yep.
so it's interesting. Sometimes it's just a matter of, here, we're just going to add protein to your breakfast. That's it. Do this, but we're just going to add more protein. We're going to just start prioritizing protein at breakfast 3 days a week. That's it. Go to Dunkin' Donuts the other days. I literally had somebody start out that way, and eventually they don't go to Dunkin' Donuts anymore.
Amazing.
They just don't want to, because now they feel so good when they're not.
Yep.
But we didn't start there because that was like, no, but this is what I do most of the days. And I don't know what else. Okay, here's the thing you can do. You can do it overnight. So you don't have to try to do it in the morning when you're trying to get your kids out of the house and trying to get to work. Let's make this really super easy.
Yep.
Right. And 3 days a week, just do that one thing. And that's literally how it starts. But now the people in her life are starting to do the things that she's doing, right? And she has her whole entire health outlook and energy and everything have changed. And she's able to do so much more with her son. She's able to take him to vacations, things that were just overwhelming before as a single mom.
Yep.
With a full-time job and a house and everything to take care of. Right.
That's amazing.
But by doing little things.
This is spot on. This is so spot on. And I know we would think that it's common sense, right? Like, well, of course I get this, but it's not. And it's so powerful when we get this. Atomic Habits is a really great book, by the way. I don't know if any of you have seen it or read it. What's this? James Clear. I've got it on my bookshelf right behind me. It's so good. And he really talks about, this idea of, taking small steps and chunking them down into things that you can also put on repeat. And my husband is such a good example of this. Like, as we're talking about all of these, he just stopped right outside my office. He's like,
what? I heard husband.
But, he has done these really cool things. Like, in the morning, he has a glass of water with lemon before he has coffee.
Oh, yes.
Like, that's it. Like, he's like, you know what? I'm not giving up my coffee. I like my coffee, but what I can do is sit down and have a glass of water with lemon. before he has his coffee. And he has
Mhm.
done that regularly. And he actually has lost probably 40 pounds, not just from the water, but from doing these small things. Like he went to, he took his kids to Iceland last year. And when he came back, because he was over in Iceland, they didn't have Coffee Mate. He came back and he's like, you know what? Chris has been saying how bad Coffee Mate is, and it's got all this shit in it, all this sugar and all these oils.
Oh,
And
there's
so,
just stuff. It's a chemical, right? It's not
yes,
food, right?
yeah,
It's a food mimic.
yes, yes, yes. So he's like, I'm just not going to buy it again. So one thing that literally he had been doing every day for decades, gone. He just was like, you know what? That's one thing I'm just not going to do. I'm just not going to add that back in. So I love this idea of let's not do any more damage and bring it down to small, manageable steps, even if it's just
Yeah.
one thing. Now he's like running every day and like because he
Like,
keeps
who
adding
is
like
this guy
big
I married?
activities.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. But that's how my life, changed. And it
yeah.
was just these little things. And again, I say, stop doing damage and start healing. And so that next step is really adding in healing whole foods, like real food. Get rid
Mhm,
of the fake food, add in real food, but it doesn't have to be like this massive disruption, right? I'll go, we'll go through a pantry and we'll say, okay, here's what you love. You're buying things that you love and they're in your pantry.
mhm,
Let's take a look at that and say, okay, how can this be better? Like, okay, I've got this taco seasoning. Look at all this stuff that's actually been added to your taco seasoning. Here's a 6-ingredient taco seasoning you can mix with just the pure original spices right in your house. You do it, you get as much as, and you're not paying extra for this
yeah,
special mixed seasoning that has stuff in it that is actually damaging your body,
mhm,
right? Little things like that.
yeah,
How do you replace things that are doing damage in your pantry with similar things, whether you make it or you can buy them, that don't, whatever it
mhm,
is that it fits into your lifestyle still. So it's very targeted in that sense. But stop doing damage and start crowding out that stuff too. It's not just getting rid of something, but it's replacing it, it's crowding it out, it's making less room for it, because once you start filling your belly with real whole food, you really just aren't hungry
yeah,
for
yeah.
that other stuff. And you find like that thing that you went for, the snack in between meals, you realize, oh gosh, I never got hungry and it's lunchtime now. And
Mm,
I normally snack 10:30 every single day, no fail.
mhm,
Where did that go? And it's
yeah,
always a surprise. They're like, yeah, I have no idea. I just wasn't snacking today.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like,
So
great,
good.
you know.
So good.
But if I came out and said, oh, stop snacking, it probably would have been like, no, I can't do that. We didn't. I just knew that it would happen. But
Yeah.
I let that happen organically just from what the changes we were making.
That's so
The
good.
very simple changes.
So I want you to talk more about your system, your boss method, because that has been like, I think it's a game changer for helping people understand that you have a proprietary method, that you've got a way, a structure, a system that people can follow to go from the struggling, and whether they're pre-diabetic or they want to lose weight or they feel terrible or they have psoriasis or whatever it is, to help them move from there to there. How has that made a difference for you, number one, in having a system? And then can you also share your system? Because I know more people here are going to want to hear about it.
Sure. So first, yes, again, refining the system that I had has made a huge difference. One of the reasons is because it helps me talk about it very clearly.
Mhm,
And it also is very easy for someone to understand. And I played with it a bit because BOSS is an acronym for Behavior Optimizing Science System,
mhm,
BOSS. But the steps in my framework also spell out BOSS, BBOSS. All right. So
mhm,
um, and it just makes it fun, but it makes it easy to remember. And the very first step is belief.
mhm,
Okay. So you and I, whether you know it or not, have talked about this the entire time we've been sitting here since 4 o'clock,
mhm,
because it's reforming your beliefs and expectations about how change happens
mhm,
in your brain, what it takes to actually create a new habit, why your brain is the way it is.
mhm,
And I always give my clients, an article that I wrote. It's called The Neuroscience of Change, and it really helps people. That's where we start.
mhm,
And it's really important because you know, change isn't a lightning bolt moment. I mean, miracles can happen. My dad has been, the day he stopped smoking cigarettes was a miracle. It was never going to happen. He had tried a gazillion times, and all of a sudden he was sitting in his chair and he was like, it was almost like a voice in his head, 20 minutes ago, you had your last one, and he was fine ever since. Now, that is not how change typically happens.
Wow.
That is a rare miracle, right? Real change requires dedication, persistence, and a bit of a tenacity, but we can make it easy. So that's what the boss mode is. But you got to start with belief, and you have to kind of set your expectations, right? Of what's going to happen in 3 months, in 6 months, and what you're going to be empowered to be able to do on your own when you're not working with me. All of my clients have kept going and are still continuing to get healthier because they learned how to change. And when I release them into the world, I give them extra steps. Here's how you keep going along this path. This is where you would be going. And the second is the blueprint. This is those steps that I just talked about, these little action steps that are small and bite-sized that you do every 2 weeks, and then you add on, either make it bigger or add a new one onto it, right? That is your goal blueprint. That is the skills that you need to get to your goal, what you need to practice to get good at that skill. I mean, when you learned how to ride a bike, you weren't suddenly really good at the skill of riding bikes. You had to practice, and you had to practice different things, right? And so, and then there are things that you do to practice, like the actions, the literal actions, and there might be 1 or 2 months worth of them to get really good at that practice, to build the skill. And then you're going to do a different practice to build that skill, right? And so everything, it very much looks like, I actually have an example here from my 6-week program. And I know I'm just putting something up to a camera, right?
Cool.
But this is your goal. Here is your skill. Here is your practice. And here is a month's worth of different options for getting really good at that, right? And so we build it out. And we'll do one at a time, because then so at that time, when I talked about, let's be a little cynical, right? Let's figure out what those obstacles could be. So we've got belief, blueprint. Now we're on obstacles. How do we shape your path? How do we get rid of obstacles? How do we make it easy to do, right? How do we sort of foolproof it? You want to learn how to, you want to start walking at lunch for 15 minutes a day at work. Well, the first day you go to do it, you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot my sneakers. Can't walk in these flats, right? So what would you do when we would sit down and say, well, what could get in the way? So let's get some sneakers. We're going to put your sneakers in the car, or you're going to go buy a pair of sneakers and put them at your office so that they're always there. And you're also going to put socks in there. Okay. Don't forget the socks, right? So you're going to have that. What if it rains? Well, you're going to have, either in your trunk or somewhere, you're going to keep, either a raincoat or umbrella, you're going to have something. But the point isn't just to have something for the rain. That also is you telling your brain that you can't use rain as an excuse. Because so just by planning for it, you're also committing yourself to walking anyway. Right? So it's those types of things. So that just understanding what the obstacles might be. Maybe you have this grand idea of having whole food dinners, and you have really long days at work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And yeah, you planned your meals, great, but you planned on cooking on those days. And by the time you got home and you got stuck in traffic, and now it's late and you're exhausted and you don't want to cook, and now you're running for the thing that was an automatic habit before, which was the frozen pizza in your freezer. So you had kind of gotten there, but you didn't do it. So how do you shape your path with that? You say, well, I'm not going to expect myself to be able to cook on the nights I know that 9 times out of 10 I'm too tired to do it. I'm not going to be optimistic thinking, oh, everything's going to go perfect this week and I'm not going to get stuck in traffic and I'm going to get out of work on time and I'm going to be able to cook even after I'm tired. We work around that. So we say, okay, what are you making on the nights? Do you have a meal prep week? Are you just going to prep the veggies ahead of time so it's a dump and go? Are you going to just create something, a double batch of something at some point where you're cooking, and then have of it in the freezer for your Tuesdays and Thursdays? Like, we talk about the different things based on your personality and what kinds of things you like to do and what kinds of food you like to have to set yourself up for success, to avoid the obstacle. Maybe you're really good about not reaching for ice cream when everything's perfect, but the second you get sad, you're reaching for ice cream. And so there's a trigger there. And then we say, okay, instead of that, when this sad trigger happens, we're planning on doing another thing. That trigger is you're going to tell your brain when this happens, this is what I'm going to do instead. I have another thing that I also love doing that's going to help me. And a lot of times, the experts will say, oh, don't let it be another food thing. You're still having, you know what though? You can have a better food than ice cream. That's still better. So I don't care if it has to start being food still.
Yep.
I want to get a better one in you. I don't want to live in this perfect ideal world where, oh no, you're going to go and meditate instead. I have nothing against meditation, but
it's too big of a jump.
It's too big of a jump.
Yeah. You need like a bridge there. That's like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Stephanie, this is so wicked good. I love this.
Yeah. And so of course there's the next step, which is an S, support. Okay. So you need to buddy up with someone for accountability and check in. There have been studies that have shown when you create a goal and you commit to it and you tell someone about it, just those three things make you more successful. But when you're checking in with that person, that's when all of the biggest success happens. That's what I offer as a coach. Now, when I was first starting out, my accountability buddy was my neighbor. And she was good. And so if you have someone in your life who's really good about helping you, stick to your guns and who's going to check in with you, that's super important. You keep me supported, right? Through in the work that I'm doing with you as my coach. So that's one of the things that coaches do. They are the accountability and support. So that's a really crucial, but it's a crucial part, regardless of whether you're working with a coach, you need to have support. Because if there's no one keeping you accountable, you're just going to, I'm not going to do that.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's easy to just kind of let yourself down.
Yeah, absolutely. And people can even, have accountability buddies, but like not use them too. So there is that, part of you get to commit, right? You get to commit to, and you've amazing doing this. Like we have Voxer inside of Activate Abundance Academy for our group so that every Monday, we show up and we share, okay, what energy are we in? What is our declaration for this week? What are our inspired actions that we're committing to? And without fail, you show up every Monday and you share that. And because you do that, you're creating incredible results, right? The people who don't use the support pieces are not, or the people that, again, it's kind of like giving ourselves the sneak out the back door. We have to be like, nope, I'm gonna stay here.
I am paying for this. And I know that the only way I'm going to get out of it is if I do what my coach says, right? You could be the third line quarterback on the bench, or you could be the starter. It all has to do with your effort a lot of times and how responsive you are to your coach. And then the last step is science. I don't know if we could have seen that one coming a million miles away, but
I was wondering where that was going to come in.
I encourage, we all have to put on our lab coat, right? We're all human. You don't have to say, oh, I'm not a scientist. Yes, you are, because we all operate on cause and effect all the time. We're always saying, oh, because that happened, whether we do it well or not is something else, but we all do it. We all understand cause and effect and we operate that way as a human. But now you get to observe and analyze and determine your next action. We work together with that, but we get to actually look to see, is this working? Is it not? And it's like when you have a hypothesis as a scientist and you have a method and you go about and you do it and you say, did what I expect to happen? I changed this one variable because I'm a good scientist. I'm not changing everything all at once. How did it go? And then that will always tell you as a scientist in research what your next steps are based on the results that you got. And so my program is dynamic for that reason. So your blueprint is a guide. I have a 6-week group program where we're actually creating the blueprint. It's only 6 weeks. Obviously, I've told you every change is 2 weeks. So if you come out of that with a 3+ month program, obviously I can't help you implement it, but I can tell you how you need to implement it. You can always work with me to further implement it. So you have the guide, but it's the data that gives you that dynamic blueprint. It's the data that allows you to tweak it. You know the general area you're going. If I want to go to Las Vegas, there's a lot of ways to get there, but I might have to tweak which path I take if there's a hole in the road over here. I want to be dynamic, and a coach can really help with that and help you pivot and help because they've been there. They
Yep.
know what the obstacles are. They know how to interpret some of this data that's coming
Yep.
in.
Yep.
And so being able to course correct and pivot is very key. And you don't be afraid of it. There's no bad data. There's no bad data. It's information that is going to inform you of how to move forward for you.
Oh my gosh, this is so good, Stephanie. So good on so many multiple levels, because gosh, there's so many. I'm like, I could go back and read all of this. I'm like, yes, that, yes. But the science piece, the pivoting, the allowing yourself to see that there's no bad data, having some accountability is so important. Like, all of these pieces in your method makes so much sense. And it's why your people get incredible results. And you've got a pathway, and it does make it easier to explain so that people can say, oh yeah, okay, so I could do, something for 2 weeks. I could, break this down into a small manageable step for 2 weeks. And then
it's a 2-week experiment.
Yeah. Why not?
Just let's do it. Okay. And so when I say be the boss, be well, I mean that on so many levels, because I mean, actually be the boss, make good decisions for yourself, use the behavior optimizing science system, go through your belief, your blueprint, your obstacles, your support, and your science. It's all the things. It's just, it's boss, be the boss.
So good. So good. All right, you guys. Steph, if you can, in the Facebook group, please share a couple things. I want people to know where they can find you. By the way, Stephanie has an amazing Facebook group. Go join it. She does lives every week. She's got some amazing information. So remember, you get to be the boss of your business. You also get to be the boss of your body. Super important. So definitely go join Stephanie's Facebook group. You also have a 6-week program that's coming up.
Well, that one's running now. I actually have a 6-month group program, but what's coming up most immediately is my free masterclass. Guys, it's 3 days where I'm actually going to walk you through why what you've done before isn't working and hasn't worked. The most important shifts that you can make. I talked about a couple here, but the most important things that you can do to transform your health and boost your vitality and energy, and not diet ever again, because obviously you can tell I don't believe in it. And then how to create a few next steps for yourself. I do that. It's the end of May, the 23rd through 25th. I'm going to be putting the link for that also down below. So I'm going to give you my Facebook group, and you'll hear about my masterclass there as well. I'm going to give you my masterclass link, and there's always a number of ways to work with me. But the other thing I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you a little free item. It's called the Journey to Energetic Health, and it's a lovely 10-step plan that you can fill in your own dates, and it just sort of gives you a basic step-by-step guide of the fundamental things that every one of my clients ultimately address in their work with me in some way, shape, or form. But if you want to know exactly how those things happen, we start talking about it in the masterclass, and I would love to see you there.
Yes, you guys go join the masterclass, and here's why. When you are in business, and you guys are all in wellness in some shape or form, not only are you doing this for you, but you are also up-leveling your own health and wellness, because you can only take your clients as far as you're willing to go. So if you're not feeling 100% at your best, then you can't take your clients that far. And I guarantee you that you will learn something from that masterclass that you can not only apply to your life, but you can apply it to help your clients too. And we get to remember that this is also about creating ripples, right? I invest in business coaches, mindset coaches, because it makes me better, not only in my business, but it makes me a better coach too. And I invest in my health and my wellness too, because it's for me, but it also allows me to give the best to my family, to my husband, to my clients. Like, all of these things are all related. So even if you're like, yeah, I know all the things about nutrition, or yeah, I'm already a health coach, you don't know everything, I guarantee you. And you will absolutely walk away with some level of golden nugget or insight or inspiration that is going to help you. And it's going to also help you help your client. So definitely click on those links. I'm going to be there. I'm clicking. Well, I might not, I might have to watch the recording because I'm doing my own masterclass, which you guys will hear about coming up later. But definitely go grab it. Get the.
Well, mine's in the
boss break.
evening. Mine's 7:30 to 8:30 for 3
Woo,
days.
well, then I will be in both
there's no excuse.
places.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
excuse. I know what times you run your masterclass.
that's right.
So
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. So I will be putting those in. So in the Facebook group, we're in Six Figure Foundation.
Yep, we're in
There we
Build
go,
a
the
Six.
Build
We're
Six
in
Figure Business.
Mhm. Yep, build
Yep.
a six-figure business. But I will also grab the link from Stephanie, and I will make sure to post it in YouTube as well. So we're going to be sharing this also in my YouTube channel. So those of you that are here inside of YouTube, hi, so glad that you're here. Click the link. We want to see you inside of Stephanie's masterclass for sure. And where else can they follow you? So we know you're going to put your link here, but can you share the name?
Yeah. So my Facebook group is called Be the Boss, Be Well. So Be the Boss, comma, Be Well. And
Awesome.
you'll see my Facebook group. And I'm also on Instagram at SJP Health.
Cool.
Okay. And yeah, I'll give you guys a freebie because I love you and I want you to have it. And I will also invite you guys to the masterclass, and I'd love to see you there. So those are where you find me, Facebook and Instagram.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm totally honored. I feel like, oh my gosh, Chris, love you.
Yeah, you're so good and helping so many people, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. I just adore you.
Oh, thank you. Well, ditto.
Oh. All right, everybody.
All right.
I hope you have an amazing Monday. Again, pop in the chat again if you're watching in the replay, and even if you're here live, like, please share with me. I would love to know. I'm sure Stephanie would love to know as well. What is one golden nugget or insight that you're taking away? Like just one golden nugget. And look, when we do that, when we take away something, it allows it to stay in the brain. So you might have heard something that resonated with you. When you write it down, when you think about it, when you share it, you're actually going to internalize it as well. So that's for you too. And it's also for us because we want to know.
Also going to strengthen neuronal connection associated with it, because that's what that does. You're creating multiple context cues so you can find that file folder in your brain.
Amazing. Science.
Science. All right. Well, take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.